All right, beautiful day today.
Killing this one. I was watching Tommy Curran yesterday.
Yeah,
You want to hear what the Patriots are looking for? Not two, three, not four, 5 first rounders.
stop.
That's what 15 minutes they went back and forth on that shit.
Interesting.
I got a funny feeling. Interesting. Stuck home that. I got a funny feeling. Interesting. Stuck home that.
Hello, friends. Good to see you there. Check 1, 2, 3. Hello, friends. Good to see you there. Check 1, 2, 3.
It's hypothetically, you've got say Minnesota that has 2 first round picks this year. You're also barefoot in the first round.
What do we want to talk about today, friends in the chat? If you can hear me well, what do we want to get into today?
All this shit thing. These trips at 1925. And all kinds of hormones to advertise you. Don't even live here. We're out all around here. I got the baseball package and
Renzo, what's happening?
school here. Raised my family. You're still in the working person. Oh yeah. It's
Click and subscribe in the tweet.
What's the number one thing to play out? Yes. I like Golden Knights.
Hey, Golden Knights could play Edmonton from what he said in the first round.
Tonight is 5:30.
Okay.
Tell you what, we don't have money for this. We don't have money for that. We got money for air conditioning. I was just talking to Dan and Chris about how we could save money around.
You like the air conditioning, guys? It's nice, huh?
They're gonna get 71. I was like, crank that some bitch up. That's so foolish.
Who's in charge of the AC, man? I like it. It's nice and cool in here today.
KT's phone.
Yeah.
What's that?
Still angry lawyers. We pride ourselves on our customer service. Not only angry lawyers, and see what our clients say about us. Or call 766-1400 for a free consultation. Attaboy. Your battle is our fight. Hey, Nevadans, restrictions can be expensive. Let the Array RX discount card be your solution. Now available to all Nevada residents. Simply sign up for free, show your pharmacist your digital card, and save money. Receive discounts of up to 80% on certain medications. There are no age or income restrictions, and it only takes a minute to enroll.
All right, we're going to get in. We got some great draft insiders on today, which I'm excited about. Yes.
Sam Ashley.
Hey, buddy, what's happening?
For a minute.
Yeah, we are on YouTube Live. So look at this. Let me show you this, Andrew. So we get up before the show. We got 11 people in there, a couple of people. They start chatting away. We go from there. It's a sponsorship opportunity on YouTube, man.
Finally get together with Gomez. We're gonna
Yeah.
talk to him about.
Yep.
Okay. Bye. Right on time. Have a great show.
Thank you. All right. We are in no man's land, but we got a good show. We got Lee Steinberg, super agent. We got Russell Baxter, the football guru. And we have Vinny Bonsignor today, man. That's a hell of a show. Let's hope I don't screw it up. But I have my live reads. Thank you. Oh, and my Grimaldi's gift cards. Woo.
So better play replacement part and passion and speed than Mad Max Crosby. Wait till you see him this upcoming season. JT the Brick. God, just love the addition of Jack Jones. All the plays he made last year will be a great addition for this team moving forward. And now. No, we're good. Let's get to it. Here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT with you. A beautiful day, a glorious day. Are we getting closer to It's spring or summer here, man. I love it. I love it today. It is a gorgeous day out here in Las Vegas, man. Excited to be on the radio with you on the powerful flagship of the Silver and Black, Raider Nation Radio, the only flagship in the history of the Raiders that has full cooperation and teamwork from the Raiders, not former scoundrels that wanted us to talk about the Giants and the Niners and the A's. We give you Raiders. I'm a little bit different. I mix in other sports because we're in sports talk radio mode until we get the draft coming in here. But what a draft show we have today. As I was telling everybody in our YouTube live stream, if you're on YouTube, you get to hear the show before it starts at JT the Brick YT. We got Lee Steinberg, the super agent. No agent has had more number one quarterbacks than Lee. I will specifically ask him what it will take for the Raiders to move up. In his perspective, he represents Patrick Mahomes. Okay? Good guy to ask the question to. What's the price tag? What is he hearing? Lee Steinberg. In about 15 minutes, Russell Baxter, the football guru, for years, the head of research at ESPN with Chris Berman and Tom Jackson, a Hall of Fame guy, good friend. We get him on every month. He's fantastic. And then Vinny Bonsignore will join us at 1:30 Pacific time. I will fit you in if you have something powerful and good to say. We want great callers, not good callers. Not everybody can be great, but we appreciate your opinion. You're always welcome to call. Always welcome to call. And remember the moniker, sound off like you got a pair. Just have something to say. You don't have to agree with me. We're not here to agree. Today I tweeted out the market. I'm up every morning at 6 a.m. I'm in the stock market. The market opened up down 500. I put it out there, and I got political triggered guys. Oh, it's because no one asked you your opinion. Nobody asked your opinion on Twitter why the market's down. I know why the market's down. A little bit of inflation. Has nothing. The stock market's been booming. My portfolio's never been better. My real estate's never been better. So stop talking politics. You don't have to talk politics in my Twitter feed. We can talk sports because that's what we'd like to do. I finished watching The Dynasty today. So I got up early and watched that. The Tom Brady, Bill Belichick. Ooh, that was good. I mean, everybody was in it. Everybody sat down. Roger Goodell sat down. Rupert Murdoch sat down. That Bill Belichick sat down. Brady did a lot of it. It was not good looking for Belichick, man. And Belichick and Brady and their energy throughout the Patriot dynasty was really interesting. When they drafted Jimmy Garoppolo, Brady and Belichick were done. When Brady's like, really? You're drafting your future quarterback? And then Brady just got better and better. And it was that 28-3 game down to Atlanta that changed everything, man. That was the game. They could have been finished as a dynasty down 28-3, and they came back. I highly recommend it. I struggle watching anything that's anti-Raiders. First couple episodes here were anti-Raiders because it was a tuck rule. But once you got by it to see how the organization was run, really good, I think, good content heading into the draft. Something to watch if you haven't been able to see that. We're brought to you by PTs. They fuel the monologue. Great place to go watch the Golden Knights tonight. Jesus, the Latino voice of the Raiders, I already talked to him. Bobby runs the broadcast. They are both on edge. They are both a little concerned with our VGK. All they got to do, they're in the wild card. They're going to be okay, but they have an opportunity to jump up playing Edmonton. We could play Edmonton in the first round. I don't like that matchup. We beat them. I don't like that matchup. Because we're not going to travel to Edmonton. No one in Vegas is going to travel to Edmonton. Who do you know in Vegas is going to leave Vegas at 80 degrees and fly to Edmonton? But you know how many people are going to fly from Edmonton and come down to Vegas? A lot. They travel really well. So we'll dive into that maybe a little bit more tomorrow as we get going here. So here's what I'm fascinated about today. I'm fascinated about the soon-to-be working relationship of Tom Telesco and Antonio Pierce in the draft. Isn't that fascinating to you? As I'm bringing this up, they've never worked together. They're working together now, and they're setting up the war room where Mark Davis will be in the war room. I don't know how they're going to work together. I know one thing, this draft is going to be crazy. It's going to be wild, and they're going to be together in the draft room, and Tom Telesco is in charge of it, and he's got to thread the needle. And Antonio Pierce is the coach, and he likes certain players. I am fascinated to see how they work together, and I hope they work together perfectly. Perfectly. I say that about John Gruden, Mike Mayock, Reggie McKenzie, Jack Del Rio. Say about Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. No one roots harder for our team in the war room to pull it off. And we got to pull it off this year because it is just crazy now cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs nuts on what's going on here. Bobby was listening to Patriots radio today, and the Patriots won 5 first-round picks. 5! They don't want 2 first-round picks. They want 5. Like, that'll happen. I don't know what's going to go on, man, but I know everybody thinks the Raiders should take a quarterback. We'll have Rhett Lewis on tomorrow from NFL Network. He's also working with the Raiders. I believe he has Penix at 13. I'm looking forward to that interview tomorrow to get his opinion because he is diving into the Raiders draft on top of his work at NFL Network. So we'll have him on tomorrow to talk about that. So, again, it's the same thing. We're a couple of weeks early. I think we've covered it. We've delivered on what we told you every day. Today we got really 3 NFL draft insiders. And I told you I'd get you one every day, and we've lived up to that. And then I'm counting on you. I'm counting on you, the fans of the Raiders, because I'm emotional on this. You're emotional. I change like the wind. But then when I have a firm opinion, I stick it out and I don't change my mind. And that'll come the week of the draft as we find out what we think is going to happen here. Now, it's just fun. Everybody guess. Everybody talk about what it's going to take to trade up and all that. But I think it's really important that we all try to at least get on the same page, even though we're not. Most of the people that I've talked to want to trade up for a quarterback. Secondly, if we don't trade up for a quarterback, most of the people after that. So priority 1, trade up for the quarterback. Priority 2, right tackle. Priority 3, stay where you're at and get a quarterback like Penix. Priority 4, get a corner. That sound right for everybody? I think those are the options. Do we move up to get Jaden Daniels or someone else? Do we stay there at 13, take the best available offensive lineman, which seems more realistic than anything? Do we stay at 13 and take Michael Penix Jr.? I don't talk trading down. Why would anybody talk trading down? Who the hell wants to trade down? I don't. I want to trade, and I want to have great players. So that's what's going to happen here. And the cornerback going 13 is a bit early for me, but if you like the guy and he's going to start, again, don't want to hear about Jacorian Bennett. Okay, he wasn't a first-round pick. Damon Arnett was. Okay, if we're going to take a cornerback at 13, he better be able to play opposite Jack Jones week 1, period. He's a starter. There are 2 that'll be able to do that, but I think the right tackle, to me, is a little bit more of a priority. So I'm going to sound like a broken record for a couple of days because there's nothing new for me to talk about. I will not talk about the 3rd-round pick, the 4th-round pick, the 5th-round pick, 6th, because that player won't be there. It's a mythical player. He won't be there, so I'm not going to waste your time. I'm trying to give you the best Raider insight I can give you, not waste your time. So if you want to have someone on to talk about a 7-round mock draft who's going to be picked in the 7th round, count me out, as my dad would say. Count me out. I'm not doing that. We want to talk about one thing, the 1st round. Man, what are we doing in the 1st round? So we can have a bucket of Modelo's. Right? We can have a bucket of Modelo's and toast that 1st round. That's what I care about. We found out today that the Packers are going to Brazil week 1 against the Eagles. Wow, that is a big game. Eagles, Packers, 2 of the biggest fan bases in all of football. And you know those dirty, stinking, green, drunk birds of Philadelphia are going to make that trip. You know those Eagle fans are selling their cars. They're selling tomatoes on the corner. They're saving everything they got. They're not going to go do business with their bookie for a couple of weeks. They're not going to go to the Sixers games. They're going to want to go to Brazil and tear that place up. And then the Packers, that's a good game. Jordan Love in the first game of the year. Jordan Love. I like that game, man. The Packers, that's a lot of travel. That's a monster game. Packers at Eagles announced week 1 in Brazil. What's the topic there? Topic simple. Do you love the fact that we're expanding to South America? Yeah, I do. I like it for Mark Davis and his business model. I like it for everybody. I like to travel. Someday the Raiders might play in Brazil, and I'd like to go on that trip. So see the world watching the NFL. Not everybody can afford it. I get it. But it's important to the league to do business, and that's a big part of doing big business. The Jaguars gave their Josh Allen, not the quarterback of the Bills, the Jaguars, Josh Allen just got paid. 5 years, $150 million. Wow. That's a big chunk of change. You know who probably sent him a note already? Max Crosby. What do you think Max Crosby thinks about that? Max is going to get several more contracts coming up here. So that's today a 5-year deal, $150 million. that includes 88 million guaranteed. Ladies and gentlemen, what would you do if you got 88 million guaranteed to play a game? You'd be probably saying he's waving goodbye. I would wave goodbye too, Bobby. No one would ever hear from me again other than my parents, my wife, and hopefully my kids. That would be it. And a couple of my best friends. That's a lot of money to play for the Jaguars, who never won crap. Shows you what you can do if you're a great player. Also leads me to believe, we just paid our defensive tackle, Christian Wilkins, a lot of money, $100 million guy, around the same in guarantees. And Max Crosby, hopefully down the road, again, we'll get other contracts. Allen's 45 sacks, so the second on the team's career list. That's pretty good already. The guy's had a good year, man. Guy last year had he had 17 and a half sacks last year, tied for second in the NFL. So he got paid. The other story in the NFL is a little bit disturbing. I think a future Hall of Famer in Terrell Suggs. Bad story for him. He faces 2 charges in Arizona. Listen to this. Former NFL star Terrell Suggs arrested yesterday in Scottsdale on 2 charges a month after a dispute in a Starbucks drive-thru line where reportedly Suggs sticked a gun out of the window, according to police records. He was charged with threatening and intimidating. Yeah, right. I would think so. If I'm in Starbucks in line and a gun's being pointed at me, allegedly, and disorderly conduct with a weapon. He was released early or today. Mugshot available. That's a guy that's got a big future in front of him. He's a hell of a player, man. He's one of the best players. Ray Lewis is on my short list of the greatest linebackers of all time. Suggs was pretty good. Really good player overall. So those are 3 big NFL highlights. We have some headlines to start off the show here if you want to jump in on any of that. The Warriors played last night against the Lakers. What garbage. The 9 and 10 seed. Lakers stink. Down 16 in the fourth quarter. Warriors win that game. I bring that up because a lot of Raider fans are either Laker fans or Warrior fans, and you might see that team again in the play-in game. They might play again in the play-in game. And I'm a big Masters guy. One of the reasons I got up early this morning to see live from Augusta, live from the Masters, basically just watching guys tee off and, play a practice round, par 3 challenge and all that. And I love the Masters. Going to be able to watch that over the weekend. So that's the show. Someday I'm going to come in here and all 9 lines are going to be full and I'm going to quit. Not going to retire. I'm going to quit. I'm going to say I accomplished my goals. Every line is full. Until then, I'll give you the number at 702-365-9200 if you want to get through. We're talking Raiders draft for the next couple of weeks. Raiders draft. If anything has changed in your mind, anything, let us know here. You know where I stand. Jaden Daniels is a Christmas present. Love to get a Christmas present early. It'll be expensive to move up there. Very expensive to move up to go get him. I like Michael Penix. I think he could be the franchise quarterback of the future if he comes in, but I don't expect him to play. If they draft him, it'll be Gardner Minshew versus Aiden O'Connell. And if the worst case scenario is we don't get Penix and we don't get Jaden Daniels and we get a starting right tackle who's a mauler, a beast to protect the running game of Zeus and give the quarterback more time, I could live with that too. Live with that too, because I don't think we focused the last couple of years, ever since the Colton Miller draft pick. I don't think there's been much of a priority up front on the offensive line, other than, giving Andre James a new contract, which I think was a sharp move because he would have ended up going somewhere else. He would have went somewhere else along the way, no doubt about it. And Dylan Parham, who I sat with, name drop alert, at the Raiders Gala, he was a great guy. Great guy. He loves being a Raider there, too. I like Thayer Munford. I like Jermaine Illuminar. He left. Thayer Munford is a 7th-round pick. I'm looking for a 1st-round pick, number 13 overall. A guy that you could say he's going to be a Raider. I know the Raider offensive lines back in the day and how strong they were at the tackle position. When you had a tackle position, when you had a tackle like Lincoln Kennedy, right? You went into every game with Lincoln Kennedy knowing you had a really good chance to win the game. And that's going to be really important. Russell Baxter, longtime insider, researcher, stat guy, Hall of Fame guy from ESPN, now on all his other platforms, kind enough to join us. Russell, I appreciate you. I'm talking Raiders here in this day part, and they got 13. Do you think that's no man's land, or do you think that they can move up with Tom Telesco, Antonio Pierce, and go get a quarterback?
Well, I think anything's possible. What my concern would be is how the other teams want to move up. And I think the wild card in here is the Bears. Not at number 1, JT, but at number 9. Okay. Remember, the Bears only have 4 picks in this draft. Told you, because and I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to move down. Now that could be a place where the Raiders could start. But I go back to a couple of years ago, and I know he's no longer with the Patriots, and they dealt him to Jacksonville. But sometimes when you stand pat, things happen ahead of you that you weren't expecting, and somebody will fall into their lap. Listen, the one thing we know about Tom Telesco is his familiarity with the AFC West.
Mhm.
And I know things have changed with certain teams and so on. But I think he's the one guy to keep an eye on in terms of GM. That to me is also always a fascinating thing. It's not who gets drafted, it's who's doing the drafting. You always got to keep an eye on Howie Roseman in Philadelphia. You never know what he's going to do, and he always seems to make a big splash, not only in free agency, but in the draft as well. He went up and got Jalen Carter last year, turned out to be Defensive Rookie of the Year. So familiarity, I always refer to the offseason and free agency in the NFL as the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. And familiarity always plays a big part in this. And I'll be curious to see what Telesco actually does.
Russell Baxter's our guest. Russell, what do the tea leaves say to you now that Aiden O'Connell is a 4th-round pick, played reasonably well, especially down the stretch, beat Kansas City on Christmas Day, won those AFC West games, franchise record, and you've been covering the Raiders since the early years of the franchise, so you know them, franchise record with a 63-point performance that got the Chargers coach fired. Then Gardner Minshew comes in. So if Michael Penix is available at 13, if you're the Raiders, would you pass on him and say, we got Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell? It's okay. It's not a franchise quarterback, but we got all the holes to fill, like the offensive line.
Yeah, yes, they do. But it's also a deep offensive line draft. Okay, so if someone like Penix falls to them, I think that's hard to pass up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, listen, I know you have Gardner Minshew, but Gardner Minshew has been now officially a journeyman. Okay, Jacksonville, Philadelphia, Indianapolis. He's a good insurance plan, but when good player. Here's the thing I always learned, and when I worked at ESPN, and I got a chance to work with some general managers and former general managers and so on. Sticking to your board and what you actually believe is probably more important than anything else. If you think that Michael Penix is that player and he falls to you, you take it. And then you let everything else kind of sort out. I remember that with the Ravens in 2003, it was a crazy draft where Minnesota's sack and so on, and probably their biggest passing play of the season that year. And Terrell Suggs fell to them. And Terrell Suggs was the guy who they had all along. And they couldn't pass him up. And look where he had for them and so on. So if you're the Raiders and you feel that strong about Penix and he's there for you, regardless of what you've done, free agency, you've gotten a good look at it.
Russell Baxter, the football guru, joins us. Russell, what happens when you see a draft and like this one where J.J. McCarthy might have a 2nd-round grade by a lot of teams here that look at the quarterback, but then he goes 4. Number 4 overall is 6 to the Giants because people are just saying, I can't wait another year. Daniel Jones, the Giants aren't going to go with him long term. Minnesota can trade the 11 and the 23 to get up to 4 to Arizona. I think J.J. McCarthy, because he worked 3 years with Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh is trying to helping out the kid by saying it's the greatest workout he's ever seen. I know why he's doing that, because Harbaugh picks 5. He doesn't need a quarterback, and he wants the first available non-quarterback player. But you've seen so many years in the draft where they reach for the quarterback, and now we're starting to see that half, not like 20%, half, 50% of these guys turn out to be backups pretty quickly or might even be out of the league. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, and it's impatience.
Mm-hmm.
And, the one thing that free agency has done has been great impatience. And we're now in the fourth decade of free agency. And we're also well into, what was it, the 15, 16 years of those first overall picks and those high top 10 picks, JT, not getting that big money, that guaranteed money, the Sam Bradford contract, the 2010. And now that you can sign these guys, and you rarely do you have holdouts anymore. And you get 3 or 4 years, you actually get 3 years to really evaluate these guys. And then you can move off them, by not picking up the 50-year option on them. We've seen, and then again, you have classes that are very successful. And then you have this class of the 2021, which has turned out to be, there's a lot of movement in terms of those guys. So, and everybody, it's this quarterback centric league. And the teams who don't build within in the trenches and so on and rely on the quarterback is where they get themselves in trouble. That's like Philadelphia and Kansas City have been steady parts. Look, I know about Patrick Mahomes, okay? No, not that. But look at Philadelphia, who has done this with different head coaches and different quarterbacks. What has been the hallmark for them? Their offensive line. Now they have a challenge because one of the great centers of the last 20 years is gone, and Jason Kelsey. And, Lane Johnson's not getting any younger and so on. And Isaac Samola left last year for Pittsburgh. Howie Roseman knows how important the offensive and defensive line is. They've always done a good job in draft ending, even when Andy Reid was there as well. But yeah, there's a lot more impatience there. We saw Josh Rosen back in 2018. We saw that the Niners Trey Lance last year and so on. So teams aren't waiting. Teams, I know this sounds crazy. I think that they're about winning and they're not about dynasties right now. If you happen to fall into a dynasty right now, good for you. But, the Rams, I think, are more content with the fact that they won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago and then collapsed and now are trying to work their way back.
Russell Baxter, as we wrap it up. Russell, give me one team. You do a lot of research that you think had a pretty good offseason. You look at free agency, their positioning, maybe looking ahead to the draft, maybe retaining players and not losing them to free agency. Leave us here in 2 minutes with maybe a team or two that you really like that's improved in the offseason.
Well, I like what Tennessee has done in getting a playmaker and both Calvin Ridley at wide receiver and L'Jarius Sneed. They didn't have to give up that much to get L'Jarius Sneed. I thought what Chicago did in the offseason, whether they were preparing for Justin Fields to stay or for Caleb Williams to come, but I thought they did a great job of, they traded for Keenan Allen. They got DeAndre Swift, who was with the Lions and then played with Philadelphia last year. Gerald Everett, the tight end from the Chargers. I thought they did a terrific job. And remember, the Bears last year, they were 7-6 after that 0-6.
Yeah, they were.
Thank the Lions at Soldier Field. I mean, I know Matt Eberflus got off to a rough start. There was that 14 losing streak and so on. But Chicago, it certainly opened my eyes. I guess it would be Washington because they signed everybody. And by the way, like Wagner signed it. No matter where Bobby Wagner gets, it's fine.
Absolutely.
Here I'm talking about Philadelphia too, and some of the guys they lost, Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelsey, and then very quickly they get Saquon Barkley and they get Devin White, and a couple of the pieces, Bryce Huff, and they got Bryce Huff from the Jets, and that's why they were able to trade Hassan Reddick.
Right. They've done a lot. They've been very active. Go follow Russell Baxter at Bax Football Guru from Fansided, NFL Spin Zone, everything that he does along the way. A fantastic follower, founder of Pro Football Guru. We'll recap with you a couple of weeks after the draft, Russell. Thanks for the time.
Sure.
You got it. Always a pleasure to talk to Russell Baxter, no doubt about it. Stoner Dude. You got to get the Stoner Dude, Bobby. You got Lee Steinberg coming up next. Stoner Dude back from Europe on a rock tour. Stoner Dude, go ahead.
To get to play with a lot of cool bands this year. I'll be at Vance this Saturday with Hail Mary, but I'm about to draft, JT. I've been really thinking hard about this. So of course we want that Christmas miracle with Jade Daniels. Who doesn't? You need a quarterback to match the other quarterbacks in our division. But first and foremost, JT, I'm convinced myself. I want to win now. Devontae Adams wants to win now. Max Crosby wants to win now. Yeah, we got a couple quarterbacks, and I like Gardner Minshew. I like he's in the room, and I do like Aiden O'Connell. He's proved something to me. At least I guess got a good feeling about him. And although there's some other good quarterbacks out there high in the draft, I think right now the glaring need for me is offensive line. Man, we got to get a tackle to secure the other side there. I like J.C. Latham out of Alabama. I like Talise Moraga. I mean, the only way we're going to make time for these other players to go make plays is to protect the quarterback. So, it's not the quote unquote sexy pick everybody talks about every year, the big playmaker, but just protect the quarterback and then spend the rest of it on defense, man. Give me a top 5, top 10 defense for the rest of the draft, and I'll be happy. I'll talk to you later, JT.
Take care, Stoner, dude. Good to hear from you. Appreciate that. That was a good first half hour. Lee Steinberg, the super agent, joins us next. I got my Grimaldi's gift cards. Wow. You'll always see me sitting outside at Boca, right there. Boca Park, Grimaldi's right out there. Mom and Dad are coming next month. We'll sit out there. My dad even says, best pizza he's ever had. The Grimaldi's gift card, home of the $50 gift card. Try it. I don't think you'll go back. Look, there's great pizza in town. A lot of our friends make great pizza. But for me, Grimaldi's is the best pizza I've ever had. Be right there. We'll walk out here. I'll walk out with you. Yeah.
I have 2 updates for you.
Dad.
I spoke up before. I copied them both emails. Like, coincidentally, it was so sometimes things happen. Thanks for the NH yesterday. 2 client logs. That's solving. What you mean? Well, next, simply put, you can't come away. No,
Weekdays at 7 a.m. on Securities Radio 920 AM. Intern in a crash. Call Sam and Ash at 702-820-1234. That's 702-820-1234. Sam and Ash. Because what's right.
This is JT from Las Vegas's premier cigar lounge, La Casa Cigars and Lounge at Tivoli Village. You're going to be blown away like I was when I stepped into their walk-in humidor. Over 500 cigar labels to choose from. Plus, they feature one of the largest whiskey, scotch, and bourbon selections anywhere in the valley with live local entertainment 7 nights a week. Great place to watch football games. Check it out at LaCasaCigars.com.
Guys, we're on Las Vegas for the debut of the first ever professional flag football league. The Las Vegas Lucky Sevens host Boston, Dallas, and Nashville for the American Flag Football League's opening day, April 27th. Visit AFML.com to get tickets before they're gone. Finley Volvo invites you to discover the first pure electric SUV from Volvo, the XC40 Recharge. Volvo's first battery electric SUV is fully connected, featuring the first infotainment system designed and built by Google and powered by Android. With Google Assistant, Google Maps, and Google Play Store built in, along with legendary Volvo safety, it's the SUV you've been waiting for. Learn more about the XC40 Recharge at FinleyVolvo.com.
JT for Grimaldi's, New York style coal fire brick oven pizza that you crave. 4 locations here in the Valley, Summer Lake, Boca Park, on the Strip at the Palazzo, Southwest Las Vegas on South Rainbow Boulevard, and Green Valley on Southeastern Avenue.
If you've been in an accident due to someone else's negligence, remember, it's not about the injury, it's about the recovery. Hi, this is Paul Patta for Paul Patta Law. At Paul Patta Law, we handle all types of cases, whether you've been injured in a car accident, a motorcycle accident.
All right, everybody.
You can find us on Facebook or at Paul Patta Law. Remember, it's not about the injury, it's about the recovery. You're not feeling positive.
Trump's Optometry has set their sights on staffing up.
Try the next line. Hey, Kim, can you tell our 2 o'clock we're running 15 behind? We're a bit backed up today.
He needs an optometric technician to keep an eye on it all.
Technician drops.
Indeed can help him hire great.
Well, what's happening here? New York Dolls. What's up with New York Dolls? Did you play New York Dolls at all? Okay.
Dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 as your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, we should have drafted Josh Allen instead of Cleveland Farrell. You're right about that. That's a really good comment.
Over 20,000 square feet. ZipZap is your one-stop shop, offering 24 hours.
When we back? When we back?
Detailing bodywork, engine, and transmission rebuilding. And ZipZap provides free towing and diagnostics with qualifying repairs. No appointment necessary. 24-hour service. ZipZap Auto at Cheyenne and North Durango Drive, and online at zipzapauto.com.
Copiers, printers, service, and supplies are just the beginning. Les Olson IT is the premier source for your business's structured cabling
All right, let's get Lee Steinberg. All right.
systems. We partner with you to find the ideal solution to all of your office technology needs. Tell us your goals and we'll get you there. Find out more at
I'm not a big soda drinker, but that's all they have today, and I needed something. I didn't want, but I have an A&W root beer, which is a fabulous carbonated drink. The A&W brand as well. I like Dr. Pepper too.
A crisp, refreshing taste, brewed with fighting spirits since 1925.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by PT's, the best happy hour in town, 5 to 7 p.m. and midnight to 2 a.m.
No, hey, we're all about winning here, right? That's whatever it takes to win. And whether that's some weeks you got to run up more, some weeks you got to throw up more, whatever it takes. I think it's all about playing into the players that you have and, trying to get them to do the things that they do really well. And so whatever that looks like, we'll find out here this fall. But we'll take this off season to go ahead and figure out exactly what that is.
Luke Getsy, new offensive coordinator with the Silver and Black. JT, back with you, brought to you by Resorts World, our proud partner here. They just opened up Junior's, the renowned New York restaurant, widely considered as having the world's best, most fabulous cheesecake. Head on out there. My longtime friend, Lee Steinberg, we were just at a Super Bowl party, which was a tremendous success, as always, in Vegas. And he's kind enough to join us. Lee, I need your help. The Raiders are at 13. You help Patrick Mahomes. Raiders need a quarterback. How expensively is it going to be to move up into the top 3?
Quarterback supply that we've seen maybe in the draft since 1983 in the Marino Elway draft. And so you got Caleb Williams, you got Drake May, Michael Penix, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, and maybe Bo Nix. And the way the draft set up is the Bears pick first, they'll take a quarterback. Washington second, they'll take a quarterback. New England third, they'll take a quarterback. Arizona won't. The Chargers won't. The Giants could. So I don't think it will be endlessly difficult to get up there, depending on how they have the quarterbacks rated, because the supply is so big. And so I think they can make a run now. Remember, JT, this is the time of year where no one tells anybody the truth about anything or their intentions. So you cannot follow the draft by reading the newspaper or listening to what GMs say. As a matter of fact, there's an amnesty on truth telling for NFL executives at this particular time of year. So let's just say a GM dies and goes to heaven. St. Peter standing there, and St. Peter asks him, "What's the most heinous sin you committed on earth?" And the GM says, "Well, I misled everybody as to what the Raiders were really going to do." St. Peter would say, welcome to heaven."
Lee Steinberg joins us. What I'm fascinated about, I'm a big Caleb Williams guy. Saw him at Oklahoma when my son went to school there. Saw him at SC. He won a Heisman. Jaden Daniels not only won a Heisman, he put up some of the most aggressive Heisman numbers, rushing and throwing all time, better than Lamar Jackson. So when I look at those two guys, they feel like locks to me. But you've had guys like Troy and Warren Moon, and especially Steve Young is the one I always go back to. When you have elite guys like that, but then Mahomes doesn't go in the top 4 or 5, and Roethlisberger doesn't. That's what I get the feel for here. I think that I know Mahomes and Roethlisberger, in my opinion, are better than J.J. McCarthy, or I'd say Drake May, but they didn't go in the top 3. So what's it like, Lee, when you're representing a client who doesn't go in the top 5, but goes soon after that, and there's a lot of GMs on the phone looking to trade for that player?
I would rather that's why when you watch the draft and you wonder how can they have prepared, with all this intensive scouting, and yet they're not making their pick. It's all trading and maneuvering that's going on. We actually know because if it's a Steve Young, if it's a Troy Aikman, teams are being honest about what they're going to tell me. Now, I can't cross-fertilize that information, but here's the thing. I would rather have a quarterback client go to the best organization with the best management, the best owner with stability, and the best coach and the best system, wherever they are in the first round. You can make that money back up, but Mahomes is so much better off being at Kansas City. And you see how many of these quarterbacks end up failing. Well, they can't have all been bad draft picks. So a lot of it is about what you do in the care and feeding of these quarterbacks and how you develop them. And I'm always happy to see one of our quarterbacks sit out a year, because what's important is the 15-year greatness, not whether or not they start right away. And what happens is you can ruin a quarterback today, big money, big expectations after 3 games when he's adjusting to the inevitable speed of the game. People are already calling him a failure. And so a lot of this is how you bring them along, because every single one of those quarterbacks we mentioned could, in the right system with the right support, be very good.
Lee Steinberg joins us, the powerful agent, great friend, a mentor to many. So give me an example of this. No one has more experience than you. You're at the top of the list on a quarterback. When you're talking to a quarterback client and he's dropping a little bit, you're in his ear saying, this is going to be great. You don't know it now. You're going to go to a much better organization. Give me an example of one of 2 of those clients that you've had, because you've had so many top picks. One of those ones that fell out of the top 10 that you were able to tell that story to in real time.
Roethlisberger. An example, because now all of a sudden, instead of going to New York Giants or San Diego that are taking Rivers and Manning, I'm telling him Pittsburgh is a perfect fit for you. You know, blue collar, a shot and a beer in a shot town, great organization. And you'll forget very quickly minutes on draft day. They're magnified because if you're back in the draft itself, you're sitting in a green room with every other top draft pick. There are hot lights on you, and it's excruciating. Draft time is not real time. It's water torture time. Every second seems like a minute. Every minute seems like an hour. Drip, drip, drip. And so it can be difficult, but you have to prepare your client accurately. So I was able to tell Ben Roethlisberger, look, the Chargers coached Rivers at the Senior Bowl and fell in love with him. They're going to find a way to get him. And Ernie Corsi thinks that Manning is a giant, and he's desperate to get him. So don't listen to what everybody's saying. You're probably going to go somewhere down in the rounds like the Buffalo or Pittsburgh. So I prepared him, but it still doesn't help that much when the picks are dropping.
Wrapping it up with Lee Steinberg. So, Lee, when you look at this, and again, I remember that draft really closely because, you know, Roethlisberger at 11, and I'm sitting here going, oh, my God, this guy, I saw enough of him to say that. It's really nice when you can look back and talk about that with the clients and all the great clients that you've had. What have you learned, lastly, about the GMs and the owner relationship? You go back to Al Davis, you know Mark Davis, you mentioned Telesco, Antonio Pierce. Walk me through something unique in the past about an owner wanting someone, the GM wants someone different, and the coach wants someone else. What is that like as an agent navigating that room and trying to figure it out?
That's something you want to run away from. Because if you don't have unity with the front office and everyone else, then you already have a controversy going in, and you don't want that. I mean, I'll go all the way back to Troy Aikman, and he gets drafted number 1 in the draft, and guess what? They have the first pick in the supplemental draft, and they use it to take the University of Miami quarterback that Jimmy Johnson just coached to a national championship. So now it's going to be rough enough playing in that team that wasn't very good. They're all virtually one game. But now you have a quarterback controversy. So you don't want anything like that. You are looking for the general manager, the coach, everyone to be on the same page. Now, I'm a big fan and believer of Tom Telesco. I think he's great. And I think he did a good job as a Chargers. I think he'll be excellent there. Mark Davis, I used to go to Raider games with back in the 70s. And, he's stable and passionate and cares. And they have a coach that appears to have lucked into a coach that may be another Mike Tomlin. He may be there, 10 years from now.
Nicely said on the Mike Tomlin comparison. Quick last one. Give me something about Vegas and the Super Bowl. You know what it took to get the Raiders from the Bay Area to Las Vegas, Pro Bowls, Super Bowls, biggest concerts in the world, sports and entertainment capital of the world. Lee, leave us with something big on Vegas and the impact that the Raiders have had on this community and what it could do in years to come for the rest of the owners, as it seems like they're happy and making a lot of money off of Las Vegas.
The site was splendid. I mean, talk about a city and an area that knows how to host a Super Bowl. And it had everything. It had flash and pizzazz. It had enough hotel rooms. It had, all the gorgeous restaurants. They'll be back, is all I'll tell you. And the Raiders did a great job hosting it, and they'll be back. I mean, I've privately rooted for the Raiders since the 70s, so I'm looking for them to make a splash here. And, then you just have to be a little bit patient and understand that it takes time to build the franchise. What you care about is if you have those components together and the players go around.
Yeah, but Lee, it's tough to be patient when your client, Patrick Mahomes, is now a part of a dynasty going through for a three-peat. A three-peat, which, would you agree that would make him the greatest team ever? 72 Dolphins, the greatest Lombardi, Super Bowl 1-2, plus the NFL championships. Winning 2 in a row something, but a three-peat, which no one's ever done. Would that make Kansas City the greatest team of all time?
I think you can certainly make that argument. You have to remember the 32 teams. So making it to the Super Bowl, getting there is insanely difficult. And the whole system's set up against dynasties.
Yes, it is.
Draft with reverse order. You've got a salary cap that's supposed to create parity. They've got all these systems, JT, that are specifically designed to make sure there's parity. And then when you have one team that's dominant, they must be doing something spectacular.
Thank you, Lee. Always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for making this happen. Really appreciate you.
My pleasure.
You got it. Lee Steinberg. Wow, that was a big interview. Hope you enjoyed that. And Lee, Lee's a unique guy. Tom Cruise played him in Jerry Maguire. He still has put on the longest, most consistent Super Bowl party in the history of the Super Bowl. Every year when I see him out there, he gives my wife a hug. He's great. I love the guy. He's done a lot for me over the years. I mean, God, Bobby, we've been interviewing him for 25 years. No doubt about it. He mentioned the Roethlisberger draft. Let me tell you about that 2004 draft. Ready, everybody? First pick overall, Eli Manning to the Chargers. He ended up getting traded to the Giants. The second pick overall, the Oakland Raiders, Robert Gallery. The third pick overall, Hall of Famer Larry Fitzgerald to the Cardinals. The fourth pick overall, future Hall of Famer Phillip Rivers to the Giants. The fifth pick in the 2004 draft, one of the greats, Sean Taylor, who died way too young. Sean Taylor, 5. At number 6, Cleveland took Kellen Winslow II. He had a really bad moment happen with him that we're aware of out of the league. Number 7, Detroit got a good player, Roy Williams, wide receiver out of Texas. Hell of a player at that time. Number 8, Atlanta took D'Angelo Hall. Remember him? He came to the Raiders. Might have been the worst deal in Raider history. He played 8 games for $8 million. If I got that wrong, correct me. At number 9, Jacksonville took wide receiver Reggie Williams. At number 10, Dante Robinson, the quarterback out of South Carolina. At number 11, Ben Roethlisberger, Pittsburgh Steelers. Where would the Raiders look in Raider history if they took instead of Gowrie, who I like Robert a lot, good player, and was better than Roethlisberger coming out of college? Robert Gowrie wouldn't have got past 3 or 4 in the draft. Roethlisberger went 11th in that draft. So it just goes to show you anything can happen. And that was a pretty good player. Vince Wilfork went 21st to the Patriots. What a career he had along the way. So that was a memorable draft for the players that went early and how important they went early in that draft and what happened there. You know, the difference between getting a quarterback or not, I think that Ben Roethlisberger is a pretty good example of that. 702-365-9200. Now, 2 guys just called into the show, Russell Baxter and Lee Steinberg. And Stoner Dude. So nice start to the show today. Vinny Bonsignor at 1:30. I'm open the rest of the way. So I expect to hear from you. Nice job on the YouTube page. We got about 50 people, 45 people in there, which is nice because after it lives in eternity on YouTube. And we appreciate that. Tonight, I am going to La Costa Cigars at Tivoli Village. Why? I'm going to reward myself with a cigar for having this show today. Live music, and they got a good entertainment tonight. Little 70s, 80s rock. La Costa Cigar Lounge at Tivoli Village. Wow, Lee Steinberg, I know it's a little bit tough to hear him at this stage, but man, was he good on those draft picks, man. Lee Steinberg, Warren Moon, Steve Young, Troy Aikman, Ben Roethlisberger, Patrick Mahomes, and a whole bunch of other ones, too. I forget the other ones.
I think we all great. What's wrong with it?
Don't miss unnecessary roughness. We dig that too.
Raider Deb said Modelo's. Yes. Now people look at me as the Modelo guy. I like it. Could be worse, man. Could be worse.
Avocado of fresh baked bread. Get your TBA at Portasubs today. Order online at portasubs.com. Power your adventures with the all-electric 2024 Subaru Solterra. It's the most advanced Subaru ever, with our latest safety technology and 0 emissions. The 2024 Subaru Solterra. Love is now electric. Come to Findlay Subaru of Las Vegas and get 0% APR financing on new 2024 Subaru Solterra models. SubaruofLasVegas.com. You're in Las Vegas?
Yeah, so my son's coming in from college this weekend. My other son's here. We're going to San Diego. See Billy Joel. We got to start playing some Billy Joel and Sting, which is police in short.
You're going Friday, it said?
Going Friday.
Okay, I'll punch you.
Yeah.
Easy access.
It's 24th, a lot better than Sting.
That's why
Sting was great when I saw him here, dude. I'm telling you, it was freaking. Oh, yeah.
I saw Sting at the Orpheum
That's the
Theater.
Richard Harris Law Firm.
Mm.
You should ruin your dreams.
They're
And
a
nobody
big
knows
deal,
Nevada
boss.
like we do.
Yeah.
Call 444-44.
Well, you know, a lot of those bands that came over from London, the quickest way to get to the States was Boston or New York. It wasn't L.A. It wasn't Texas. You know what I mean? They had to go to. Yeah. Again, I got pulled over the stage while Clash was playing at the freaking Shea Stadium. Never forget that. Opening up for the Who was Buster Poindexter into the Clash, who was running an hour late. That's why a riot almost happened into the Who. And the craziest part of that trip is me and about 10 or 11 friends took the train together in there. We got in there. We had general admission tickets. They're like $18 on the field at Shea. We go in through the gate by home plate. So the stage is set up in center field. And we come around the stack of amps and we see there's no one there. So one of my buddies said, because we started racing to the front of the stage. My buddy said, no, take 30 steps back. I said, what do you mean 30 steps back? He goes, promise me. Because the Who had debts on that tour. Remember Cincinnati and all that? So we went back 30 rows, 30 yards, and planted all 10 of us planted ourselves there. By the time the Clash came on, we were in a wave like this, almost going to die. If we fell to the ground, we were going to die because you couldn't get up. So think of me 30 yards back and then getting pulled over the stage. The energy that pushed me to the front could have killed me. And then after the show, couldn't find any of my buddies, so we all got on the train to head home, and we're all in different train cars. And by the time we got off in Massapequa, all the train doors are open, and like 10 cars, and then we were seeing each other, and like 7 of us were on that train instead of 11 of us. Yeah, it's crazy. And here's the weirdest part of that story. I was 16 years old because I graduated in 12th grade. I was 17. I was 16, and my parents let me go see the Clash and the Who at Shea Stadium.
Well, they probably figured the Who was going to be okay.
Yeah.
Modernizing the Nevada workforce and building a global.
I had to talk my folks into Alex Trooper. That was easy.
Strong.
Yeah.
There we go. This is Minshew coming back.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show.
We only got
Brought to
about
you
4
by
minutes.
Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One love.
I'm always looking for opportunities to compete, man, and this is a great one here. Excited to get in and compete with a team that I feel like has a chance to be really good. Played them at the end of the year last year, felt some of that momentum, some of that energy that was building. And anytime you have a chance to compete, man, that's all you can really look forward to.
Gardner Minshew there, JT back with you. Thanks for joining us here as we continue on the flagship. Vinny Bonsignore joins us at 1:30. So if you want to get through, 702-365-9200. Why would you want to call a Raiders show on the Raiders? I don't know. I think we're in no man's land right now here for the next 2 weeks, and I am kicking ass and getting all these great guests on because we don't know what we're talking about now. We're all guessing. I don't like to do guessing radio. You can get in trouble guessing. So what I do here is I put other people on and let them guess. Let them tell you what they think, and they're all giving us opinions here. Lee Steinberg was fantastic along with Russell Baxter. Vinny Bonsignore is going to join us coming up, and there's something going on in Twitter right now, and Vinny tweeted it out, so I'm good with it because other sites that I'm not familiar tweeted it out. JPA Football, and JPA Football has about 250,000 followers. They tweeted out rumor. Raiders owner Mark Davis has given GM Tom Telesco and head coach Antonio Pierce permission to trade up in the NFL draft for a quarterback, per ESPN. Jaden Daniels could make sense if they're able to pull a trade off. So that's got 150 retweets, and the world's going crazy. I could have easily told you that. I don't know it to be true. I could have said rumor. Well, what do you think? If someone called me and said, hey, JT, you think Mark would give permission for Telesco to trade up? I'd say, yeah, probably. I don't think Mark's going to say no. Mark's going to say, what's the circumstance? How many first-round picks? And if they go 5, no. So, again, this isn't breaking news here, but Vinny retweeted it, and Vinny said, context. Mark Davis has been consistent in backing the recommendations of the football people he hires to make football decisions. This has been the case all along. Great answer by Vinny B. That's what you say. Mark Davis cooperates with football. He wants to give football the best that they can have, and that's what he's doing now. It's not hard to see that. The ability to help out your team at any cost is what Mark Davis has done. Mark wants to win. Even his critics know he wants to win. Mark's not running around that entire stadium. He's watching the game. He's on the field talking to the players. He wants to win. Even his critics will tell you Mark is desperate to win, and Mark doesn't get in the way with the money. Now, if you want to criticize Mark for some of the hires he had with football, he's owned it. He's had press conferences. He's talked about it. He said it in public to media. I made a mistake, or I didn't make that hire right, and he made a quick change quickly. Now, would you have rather have Mark been patient with Josh McDaniels for 2 more years? Not Raider Nation. Raider Nation never wanted Josh McDaniels. Didn't even give him a chance. And okay, there's fans that are going to be open to ideas, other fans that aren't. I think I'm really happy that everybody's thrilled about Antonio Pierce, most of them. And everybody's been really classy with Tom Telesco welcoming him in. Even the Raider fan, Bobby, who's burnt out and tired and wants to win a Super Bowl and it hasn't happened in a while, they're not sitting here throwing, throwing things at the wall with Tom Telesco. They're saying, I hope it works out. I hope it works out. It's not because those fans are exhausted. It's just that those fans want to see something happen now. Why wouldn't you root for Tom Telesco? He has a track record in the first round. And the first round's really important here because it's going to be expensive in the first round. Really expensive and important that the Raiders make a good decision. When we come back, I'll reset at the top of the hour with all the sports. Vegas has got a big game tonight in hockey. Edmonton. Big one. They're all big because when you lose at Arizona and you blow a 2-0 lead in the last game against Vancouver, now the games are starting to get a little bit tight. We'll hit on that one. There's new baseball news. Every pitcher's blowing out their arm. Man, Boston lost the starter for the season. What's going on with all the pitching injuries? That's next.
Yeah,
Be right back, my friends. Why is my battery saying my battery's low? That is not good. It's plugged in.
It's about recovery.
All these pizza, famous New York style, coal fire brick oven pizza that you crave, 4 locations in the valley, good park in Summerlin, on the strip at the Palazzo, Southwest Las Vegas.
All right, plugs are working.
On South Avenue.
Everything good here?
Raider Nation Radio, night.
So what else is happening, everyone? Everyone doing well?
Our family has spent over 3 decades fighting to pursue justice for the injured. It's a long family heritage that we proudly carry on. From our father to our family to the expert legal team at Castroverde, we founded this firm for you. We're the Castroverde brothers.
What's going on, Fabian? Your battery was when the last power cycled your cell? I don't understand what you're saying there, Fabian. What are you saying here?
Our usual is your usual. Our team is your team.
Your battery, which was the last time to power it? I have it plugged in. I have it plugged in all the time.
For great strength gaining and since 1980s.
Might have had a cord loose.
It's your PTs.
Yeah, we'll do one more segment here. I'll reset here at the top of the hour, and then we'll wrap it up.
Can't help. Join the over 500,000 people who have attended.
Yes, the Islanders are still alive, James Farrell. I can't say they're my Islanders anymore because I gave them up for the Golden Knights, but I get what you're saying.
Life change for me.
Yeah, I don't think deserve. Bridget, how much have you lost now? I lost 83 pounds.
Holy cow.
It's easy, it's fun, very relaxing, and very successful. And I would just take up for it.
Early bird special, only $49.99. Lose all the weight you want, 100% guaranteed. Saturday, April 13th at the Santa Fe Station Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas. Weight loss seminar, 11 a.m. Registration, 10:30 a.m. Attend this program and find out how the power of hypnosis can help you achieve your weight loss goals. There's limited seating, so get there early. Learn more at markpatrickseminars.com.
Remy Martin is the official cognac of the JT the Brick Show. When you're celebrating any of your team's victories, celebrate with Remy Martin Cognac. XO VSOP at 1738. Remy Martin. Team up for excellence.
Come see why thousands have made the switch to Finley Chevrolet.
I did not see the end of the game with the Islanders penalty. Yeah, the Sharks aren't doing well for a while. Ever since Vegas came into the league, the Sharks haven't done very well. Yeah, hit the like button there. We got 42 people in there. Hit the like button. We'd appreciate it. Okay, thanks for the battery update.
Strip on South Rainbow and Green Valley on Southeastern Avenue. It's Ash.
I got to do an edit for a spot I did for demo.
Don't just handle cases.
So,
we take care of people. Sam and I started this law firm to provide injury victims with unmatched customer service. We keep our clients informed and walk them through the legal process with patience and clear communication. So if you've been hurt in a crash, call Sam and Ash, 702-820-1234, or visit samandashlaw.com. Sam and Ash, because you deserve What's right?
Wake up with the morning tailgate from Clay Baker. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10 on.
All right, hour number 2. What do we have? Oh, Bob, we have those 2 bites I wanted to play.
JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Espresso
Modelo.
in the U.S.
It's time for JT the Brick. I'm rolling.
Hour number 2 begins.
Every day we have the ability to talk Raiders, and you can talk about whatever you want to talk about this time. There's never an off season in the Raider Nation. I've done this rodeo before. Do we all agree?
Here we go again. Hey, girls. JT the Brick.
Want to put guests and callers on the radio who can make an impact. We're going to talk sports, all different types of sports, because we do a sports talk show. We have the best fans in all sports calling this show for over a quarter century. We hope that remains the same. Whenever you want to pick up the phone, enjoy everything we do. And please always feel welcome to call in and to tweet and to be a part of the show. It's Big Boy Radio. Are you with me? What do you got? You, the Raider Nation, have an opinion. Use the phone like a weapon.
And now, this is completely BS. Here's JT the Brick.
Welcome back, everybody. JT in studio today with Bobby. Bobby had a birthday a couple of days ago. We are rolling on here tonight. We got a lot of partners that we thank every day. They are our proud partners here on the flagship of the Silver and Black. None other bigger than the Black Hole. Black Hole, go to theblackhole.com, click on membership. Since 1995, the Black Hole Fan Club has been the foundation of the nation, now with over 40 chapters worldwide. If you bleed silver and black and want to connect with other diehard fans, visit theblackhole.com and become an official member of football's most notorious fans. You got an invite, man. I'm giving you the invite. They're giving you the invite. Mark Jones, Cisco, be a member of the Black Hole. Wednesday at the Masters, a tradition unlike any other. They had the Masters dinner last night. That always fascinates me, man. I love that. John Rahm had a Latino dinner last night, a Spanish dinner from Spain. A little bit different, a little bit different than cheeseburgers and steak, medium well. So they had a nice dinner, and to see the guys that are allowed in that room and the other guys are not. Imagine what it must be like being Rory McIlroy on a Wednesday night, renting a mansion in Augusta National, and you're not allowed to go to a dinner with guys you're better than. Remember, Rory McIlroy hasn't won the Masters, but he's better than Danny Willett, who did and won a Masters. He's better than Patrick Reed, who won a Masters, but Rory hasn't won, so he can't go to the dinner. And then you take that picture with Jack Nicklaus and Tom Watson and Gary Player and the legends who were there, man. I just get fascinated by that. Today they let the kids out on the golf course to play caddy with their moms and dads out there on the par 3. And then tomorrow, it's supposed to tee off under rain. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a pause or two and they have to stop because there's supposed to be some heavy rain and then wind, and then it'll get nice. It's supposed to be 80 degrees on Sunday for the Masters there. I'll pick a winner today before the end of the show. Brady Cannon came on yesterday. He predicted Xander Schauffele. I like Will Zalatoris a lot, but I'm rooting for Scotty Scheffler. I want you to hear this soundbite, and it's very important. One of the things I do to prep for the show every day is I go on Twitter and I go on Instagram and I look for audio that you normally wouldn't hear on sports radio. Scotty Scheffler really puts his life into perspective. Listen to this from his Masters press conference and his life and what he wants to be known for and what he does every day.
My dad, the way I was raised, my dad stayed home with us, my mom worked, and my dad never really looked at me as a golfer. My parents pushed more education and, being kind to people on me. And so I think playing junior golf, I think sometimes you see a lot of parents who really want their kid to become really, really good at something, and they think that's what's going to bring them joy. But becoming a really good golfer may bring you a little bit of momentary joy, but it doesn't, sustain it for very long. Winning a tournament makes me happy for about 5 minutes, and then you got to do a bunch of other things that are a little bit more difficult than winning the tournament. And so the way I was raised, golf wasn't really a huge deal in my house. It was just something that I always loved to do. And, I had a very supportive family in doing so. I have 3 sisters, and I'm sure they went to way more golf tournaments than they would have hoped to when I was growing up. But I just had a great support system at home, and I feel like I've said a bunch. Golf is not just something that I do. It's not my life.
I love that soundbite. Golf is something that I do. It's not my life. I say that about me every day on the radio. Radio is something I do. it's not my life. And I think everybody, when it comes down to parenting, and not everyone's a parent, so you might have cousins or nieces and nephews. If you can go back in the hot tub time machine, it's hard to find the perfect parents when it comes to sports. I've known a few. My dad. My dad was my coach. He coached. He was hard on me. Little league basketball, everything he coached. But he was very fair. He's very fair. Didn't give me any special treatment. Probably the opposite. Made it tougher on me. And a lot of parents that I've met really understand the importance of sports. But the problem is the ones who don't, those are the ones who make the headlines. Those are the ones that get in the police blotter. Those are the ones that get called when the cops come to the field because they're out of their minds and they're doing something they're not supposed to. And Scheffler is really grounded. Golf is a hard sport. Imagine you have a 6, 7, 8-year-old and they want to get into golf and you got to take them to practice and tournaments every weekend. I mean, you got to get in the car and drive 5 hours for a sport where you can hook your drive, you can 3-putt, you can hit the ball in the water, and then you got to drive your kid home 4 hours. That's not good. That's a hard sport. Golf, you're out there alone. You're out there alone, and you got to deal with your parents. Who had it harder than Tiger Woods? I mean, Earl Woods. But again, Earl Woods was the most committed father, maybe in the history of sports, along with Richard Williams, the father of Serena Williams, what she was able to do along the way in Venus. I always recommend for people to watch that movie that Will Smith won the Oscar for Best Actor. And to see that Richard Williams in the morning with a job was sweeping crack pipes off of tennis courts in the hood and trying to get his girls ready to play tennis before school. I mean, what kind of dedication is that? We're talking about all the football players that live here in town and baseball players. Think of what the parents have done along the way just to drive their kids and get them to practice. That's a real dedication. And then some other parents make it horrible because they're just awful to their kids and they won't let them be kids. The advice would be, let your kids be kids. They're only kids for a short period of time. And really important. And when you heard what Scotty Scheffler said, when I clipped that piece of sound this morning, I said, I couldn't wait to play it on the show because I think everybody can relate to it. It's about relating to the little things in life. And I thought that was very relatable because parents, you think you're doing the right thing, but you look back 10 years ago and you go, man, what was I thinking? Why did I do that? Why did I call the coach at night? Why did I confront the coach in the parking lot? Why did I yell at my son or daughter instead of take them to ice cream and tell, hey, let's do it next time? Big topic here, man. The parents who are all dedicated to their kids and stay out of it, they deserve a lot of respect here. One other soundbite that I also wanted to play here, and it ties into it beautifully. This is about being a parent. This is Danny Hurley, who just won a national championship back-to-back for UConn. His father was a legendary disciplinary coach at St. Anthony's in New Jersey. His brother is one of the greatest players of all time in college, Bobby Hurley. No debate. One of the all-time most decorated guards of all time. And then there was Danny. Now Danny's the most famous person in the family. Listen to what Danny Hurley says about recruiting players and what they look for with the parents of those players.
There's measurable talents you have to have, right? The height, the speed, the skill set. But we spent a lot of time really focusing on the parents.
The parents.
Yeah, on the parents. Are they going to be fans while they're on campus of their son, or are they going to be parents? Are they going to hold them accountable, have an expectation that when something goes wrong, that it's not the coach's fault, that it's their son's got to work harder, he's got to do more, he's got to earn his role. We've got a real old school culture here of accountability. I'm an old school coach in terms of the tone I take with my players in practice, the expectations with effort, the focus on winning and we over me.
Like, what does that mean?
Have they played on 7 different travel teams? Have they transferred to 4 or 5 different high schools? When you talk to the parents in the recruiting process, are they constantly complaining about the coaches after a bad game, or are they, sending you a text or you having a conversation, where their son has got to do more, he's got to play harder, he's got to work on his skills. They tell on themselves, they drop hints, and you've got the wrong type of kind of people in that inner circle around your players. They'll sink your program.
I love what he said at the end. If you don't have the right type of parents and people around your program, it'll sink it.
Yeah.
So when I heard that soundbite, I started thinking about this. I talked about it with my son about why UConn. Why is UConn so good? I didn't know why, because I picked Houston to win it all, and I think UCLA should be able to recruit better than UConn. So should bigger schools around the country, Duke, North Carolina. It's because Danny Hurley's telling the parents who are telling the kids, we don't want you unless you're hardcore. Unless you're coming here, your parents aren't going to get involved and be in my face. They're going to be part of the program, travel with us, and be supportive. Then you start rooting everybody out. Then you start getting these crazy moms and these psycho dads out of your program. You're going, no way. Oh, my God, he's played on 7 travel teams. Oh, my God, we're recruiting him. And the mom is calling me all the time and texting me. Get him out. And then you get a core group of players who are elite, and they take your program to a championship. Incredible. Those 2 sound bites put a lot in perspective for me today. Scotty Scheffler and Danny Hurley on how important life is more so than the teams they coach or Scheffler, the trophy he wins. It's about having that balance in your life. Reports are Scotty Scheffler doesn't do any social media. How is that possible? He's the best golfer in the world, number one. He plays for a bunch of apparel companies, a club maker, a cleat maker, cars or whatever. He doesn't have to tweet. He doesn't have to look at his Twitter. No, he's in golf season. He doesn't look at it. He's not involved with it. You know how much more time you have for practice and to sit with your coach and to do all that. So some people do it better than others, but I thought that was really refreshing to get to today. So Vinny's going to join us here in about 15 minutes, and we're going to talk about his. We only have one more hit with Vinny before the draft, and then we'll talk with Vinny after the draft, and we're going to find out what we're doing here. There's a lot of parties. The Black Hole has one up at the top of Ghost Bar. Their Legends party, I'd highly recommend it. Raiders season ticket holders who have been invited to Omnia. Whenever I go to Omnia and get in there for a party, it's just blows you away that you can even be in a room like that. So if you're going to that, hope to see you there. And then a whole bunch of other Raider fans up and down the strip. Going with all of our partners, Boyd Gaming, M Resort, all the draft parties that are going to be here. It's really cool. The draft's going to be in Detroit, and we'll see who goes. We'll see who's going to go. I think there's going to be a couple of top 15 players that rather have their draft party in a major city than go to Detroit. I'd go to Detroit if I was getting drafted, but that's going to be a big part of that. And then the news today, Josh Allen of the Jaguars, $88 million guaranteed, part of a contract well over $100 million. So that's an edge rusher who plays the same position, the same exact position as Max Crosby, making all that money. And that today was announced that the international game to start the season will be played between the Green Bay Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles. That game will be played in Brazil. Adam Schefter reports. The game will take place in the city of São Paulo at the Corinthians Arena, home to the Brazilian soccer team, SC Corinthians. It will mark the first time the NFL has played a game on Friday night of their opening weekend since September 18th, 1970, when the Cardinals visited the Rams. So it'll be the Green Bay Packers at Philadelphia. Now, who gets the raw end of that deal? Philly does, because it's a Philly home game. So they lose a game at Lincoln Financial, and they have to play a home game there. So they'll have a bigger ticket allotment and a couple other perks there being the home team. And if I'm a Green Bay fan, look, if you're a Green Bay fan, you got to make that trip if you can. I mean, Packers got great history dating back to Vince Lombardi, Bart Starr, Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers. There's not a Packer fan on God's green earth or any fan that says they ever saw a game in South America. I think the Packer fans are going to save up their money and go. That is a great spot to go see a game here. But I'm noticing some fans don't like this because fans don't like change. And to take a home game away from Philadelphia, and that's good weather too, Bobby. Remember, you're from Boston. I'm from New York. September 7th, that time of year coming off of August is the best time of the year. It is hot. It still could be sticky, but you want to go to a game at home that time. You don't want to lose a home game. And I can't make any predictions here, but the fact that the Raiders playing a brand new Allegiant Stadium, it's still close to brand new. They should not pull the Raiders out ever as a home team to go play on the road and lose a home game, considering what it costs to build this stadium and move here. If they're the road team, the Raiders have been able to handle that before and do that. So that's a big side story today as we get going. Speaking of building stadiums, the 872 laborers led by Tommy White, building these big projects on time and on budget. So Vinny Bonsignor in a few moments. We had Lee Steinberg and Russell Baxter, the football guru. Russell said, look, if you like Penix, get him. If you like him a lot. But does anybody know if Tom Telesco loves Penix? I don't. I know, the one guy that we're going to have on next week, Lincoln Kennedy, going to ask Lincoln about that before we head into the NFL draft. 702-365-9200. If you want to get through to the show or you want to just hear another 15 minutes of me, 702-365-9200 on Twitter at JT the Brick and on the live stream on YouTube as I'm about to say goodbye to all of our friends who are there on YouTube doing a great job and helping me build this platform as we continue here on the flagship of the Silver and Black. So we've been busy today. Rhett Lewis will join us tomorrow as he completely does a nice job, a really nice job through the Raiders and NFL. Bobby just pointed out to me, thank you, Bobby. Listen to this. Last night, walking the dog, I'm looking for a podcast to listen to. And I find The Ringer, the NFL on The Ringer. All right, I'll give it a chance. And I knew, I don't regret what I'm about to play it, but it's kind of weird. So these young men don't know I'm on The Ringer. I fast forwarded to the AFC West, and then I got to the Raiders and Michael Penix Jr. Here's what the Ringer podcast says about what the Raiders could do at 13.
The Raiders need a lot, and here's my thing. They have the 13th pick. They need a quarterback. But they also need other picks like cornerback that are available. I would like to play a game. I am going to be Antonio Pierce, the head coach of the Raiders. I would like select to be Tom Telesco, the GM of the Raiders, who's new. We're on the clock. I would like to draft Michael Penix, the quarterback from Washington,
because he's not good enough to take a 13 overall.
So you're like what? Going to take him in the second round?
Yeah, but if you try and look at this as nobody has any idea which quarterbacks are going to work out, shouldn't you just take a quarterback? The whole nobody has any idea what quarterbacks are going to work out. Sure, but also we can kind of say with a lot of confidence, if you're not willing to take as I am, if you're not willing to take a guy like top 15 with Michael Penix, he's probably bad. Right? If you look at the history of quarterbacks taking the back half of the first round, your successes are like Jordan Love, who sat for 3 years, and Lamar Jackson, who the entire league hated because his mom was his agent and he was good at running for whatever reason, right? It's just, in general, it's your Johnny Manziel's and your Paxton Lynch's and your Tim Tebow's and your Brock Osweiler's. It's just this guy's developmental, and then he just never is. He never comes along. That. You still, even if drafting a quarterback is very hard, the risks that you take in the top 5, top 10 tend to be way better than the risks you take outside of it. And I don't have Penix as a guy who's worthy of that sort of a pick.
But Penix isn't developed. Here's my question with Penix. I don't see him as developmental. I see him as if anything, he's older and they're oh, maybe he is what he is. And also obviously the injury risk of 4 season-ending injuries. But here's my thing. Penix had an unbelievable season, but he had a stacked receiver room, right? And Roma Dunze. Who is the pro comp for Roma Dunze? Stikaz, you have Devontae Adams. The Raiders have the real Devontae Adams. So why is Michael Penix not a perfect fit to play on the Raiders?
You can't take a quarterback because the receiver he threw to in college is comped to the receiver that's currently on that team.
Why not?
Yeah. Because that doesn't make him more likely to be good. Penix is 24 years old. He's had multiple season-ending knee injuries. He played in college with 3 NFL receivers, an NFL running back, an NFL tight end, and 2 NFL tackles, and 1 NFL center.
So I don't know if I should apologize to you for playing that or if you got anything out of it. 3 guys talking on the Ringer about Michael Penix Jr. Spent a lot of time on it. That was 2 minutes and 2 seconds of Michael Penix Jr. No one seems to know what to do. Everybody wants Michael Penix, but they don't want him early. They want him later. They want to pick him at the perfect spot for them. That's not how this works. Thanks to the Ringer for that sound. Raider 66 joining us on the flagship. What's happening?
You're
doing great. Thanks for calling.
Oh, great. Yeah. The draft's coming up. Everybody's got a lot of stress, a little angst, who we're going to pick, who we're going to take, a lot of stuff. But there's one thing that all of Raider Nation agrees on. John Madden was a great coach. And I would like to say happy birthday to the coach today. He would have been 88 years old.
Oh.
This guy, talk about royalty. Who else? What other person on the planet has 16 sports Emmys, has their name on the best-selling sports video game of all time, worked at all 4 major networks, has the highest winning percentage in NFL history for coaches with more than 100 games coached. And
He retired in 78. By the way, 1978, the year he retired, is also another red letter day because our current president, Sandra Douglas Morgan, was also born on this day. There should be a holiday for Raider Nation, for crying out loud. But in 78, John Madden retires. And it takes the wise people on the Hall of Fame panels 28 years to put him into the Hall of Fame. That is almost a criminal act right there. The guy was phenomenal, and just everything he touched turned to gold. And on top of all those other accomplishments, he was a great family man. So let's all raise a glass to the great John Madden, R.I.P., rest in peace, Coach. And thank you for putting the Raiders on the map and everything you did. Thanks, JT, for allowing me the time.
Thank you. Excellent phone call. Thanks for the birthday shout outs, plural today. Appreciate that. Coach Madden, such a huge part of the Raider history. Whenever you're in the building, you can see it all around the facility, the headquarters, the greatness of John Madden. When we come back, Vinny Bonsignor will join us, brought to you by Remy Martin, the official cognac of our show here. The next time you're out at your favorite establishment, enjoy a Remy Martin 1738 sidecar or any Remy Martin cognacs, VSOP and XO. Remy Martin, team up for excellence. I want to thank our audience here on YouTube. Thanks for coming in for me. I think we're getting in a nice rhythm here. You can subscribe, hit like, and join us, JT the Brick, YT. That's on YouTube, as we're in the YouTube live studio. Got good news that every Monday night now, every Monday night on SiriusXM, I'll be broadcasting from the Wynn Studios, one of the nicer studios in all of sports radio. I'm going to embrace that opportunity. Well, they built the studio there at Mandalay Bay, and I was the first one to do it there. And now I moved my Monday night show over to Wynn Resort, so that'll be a lot of fun. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate you. Fabian, Deb, Giuseppe, Ty, the trucker Mark, California Dave, Richard C., everyone, James Farrell, Willie.
Stay around.
You don't hear your Grimaldi's ads anymore. What the hell are you talking about? I got my Grimaldi cards right here. I talk about them all day. Come on, man. I don't miss out on my Grimaldi's. Appreciate it, everyone. See you back tomorrow.